All right, so you're selling your home and then you get cold feet and you go under contract and you're like, oh my gosh, how do I get out of this thing? Let me walk you through as a seller, different places in your contract that you have a chance to get out. For sellers, unfortunately, there's not very many ways that you can legally get out of a contract. There are a few though. So one of them would be the earnest money. So your buyer in your Oklahoma contract says that the buyer needs to turn in earnest money within 3 business days of going under contract. If your buyer misses that window, on day 4, the seller has a legal right to send a cancellation of that contract. So whenever you're in the beginning of that contract, be sure to check and ask, have your agent find out, did the earnest money get delivered to the title company or not? And if it didn't happen by day 3, on day 4, you have a chance to back out of that contract and move on. Another place that you have a chance to back out would be with the appraisal. And this happens at the very end of the window, usually about a month, kind of towards the end of that month, a few weeks in. But if the appraisal comes back low, then the buyer actually has the chance to cancel the contract. But if the buyer is like, hey, I'm not buying it because it's this much, the seller needs to reduce the price, then the seller at that point, you have the chance to be like, nope, I'm not lowering my price, forget it, deal's done, and you can move on. And then the third time that you can cancel the contract is whenever the buyer is doing their inspections. When the buyer finishes their inspections, they have a choice. They can turn in a TRR, which is a request for repairs, or they can say, hey, we're keeping it as is. If they decide to keep it how it is, there's no chance to cancel that contract. But if they turn in that TRR, that begins a brand new window. It's a 7-day negotiation period between the buyer and the seller where they are deciding what repairs are going to be done. The contract says that document has to be executed within 7 days. And if it doesn't get signed by both parties within that 7-day period, then the contract automatically cancels and the whole thing basically disappears. The earnest money goes back to the buyer. So if you're a seller and you're under contract trying to figure out what am I on the hook for, those would be the only 3 places I can think of where you could have a chance to get out of that contract.